Does this truck make my driveway look big?
Well, hello there. This could just be the dumbest thing I ever purchased. So this is the 1998 Honda Acty. It's a classification of car used in Japan that meets a certain criteria to keep the cost down over there. I guess the way they work it over there is that the older a vehicle gets, the more expensive it becomes to register and tax and things like that. So I thought about buying a side-by-side for my property here. And when I went shopping for the basic, this was probably a year or so ago now, the basic side-by-side was $14,000 and add in the dealer fees and all that. So, you know, you're looking at 15 grand for a decent side-by-side. The benefit to this that I see is that I can drive this on the road and it costs half as much. I bought this for a little bit more than it cost me to buy my lawnmower, my zero turn. So this becomes a more practical option. The benefit of it is that I can register it, I have a title, and drive it on the streets. Now, I wouldn't suggest driving it on the interstate. That's certainly not something I'm going to do. It's only a 660cc engine that pumps out about 38 horsepower. So this thing is not very powerful, and to be fair, a side-by-side would be more off-road capable. But this gives me the option of driving it in the woods as well as on the street. So I can take this thing to my big box store. It'll take a sheet of plywood and a bed. So the capacity is pretty good. The weight limits, though, it only takes about 770 pounds, something like that. It's a little under 1,000 pounds just to hold as far as weight goes. But for what it costs and for what it's capable of, I'm absolutely happy with it. So one of the concerns I had was parts availability, really. In Japan, these are as common as F-150s here, and so they made a lot of them, and they're still making them. So because these are so common in Japan, parts are available. The oddball parts that I may and hopefully don't need, I can get them. I just have to wait the period of time it would take for it to ship from Japan. But a lot of the common stuff I can get here. I can get locally. Brake pads, oil filters, you know, stuff like that. It's the oddball stuff. If I need a whole distributor or, you know, whatever the oddball part might be, that I might have to wait for and ship in from Japan. So anyway, so these things are not very heavy. It weighs, I don't know, somewhere around 1,600 pounds. I'm going to bring it to my local transfer station and put it on the scales just for fun at some point, but I haven't done that yet. I've owned this for just about 2 months, and it's been reliable. I haven't really had any issues with it. Just when you buy one, you got to watch for rust. I don't have any rust issues with this one, just a couple of surface spots here and there, but nothing that's really concerning. I have added this mat to the bed. This is a stall mat from Tractor Supply. I put a toolbox in the back here to give me a little bit more lockable cargo space. and that was, you know, a Harbor Freight thing, a little over $100, no big deal. I did paint this headache rack because the welds on it were starting to get rusty, so I took it apart, took it off, sanded it down, and painted it with some rattle can bed liner. The dealer that I bought this from put new tires on it, but they're regular road tires, you know, not great for driving in the woods, and because they're 12-inch, not much ground clearance either. So I opted to upgrade these steel wheels, 13-inch steel wheels I got for cheap money, $100, and bought the tires for them. These are pretty aggressive off-road tires that I'm not going to have any issues with in the winter. I'm not going to have any issues in the woods. And it brings the ground clearance up just a little bit. I think the overall diameter on these is 23-inch, and the 12-inch wheels that I had on here, the 12-inch wheels and tires were, you know, 20-inch, 21-inch, something like that. So these did give me a little bit more height, but I'm considering a lift kit maybe next year. They do make a lift kit for this that's pretty inexpensive. But going back to the whole K-truck thing, this is called a K class or a K truck. In Japan, it's spelled K-E-I, and they're a classification of vehicle in Japan that meets certain criteria, keeps the cost low for the consumer. And part of that criteria is that the engine displacement can't be more than 660 cc's. And so this has to meet weight classifications. It has to meet dimensions, height, width, and length. And because of that, they make vans like this. They make little sports cars like this, but all with the same sort of engine, running gear, what have you. But Honda makes them, Suzuki makes them, Subaru makes one, Daihatsu makes one, but I think that's the Toyota brand. Yeah, and Mitsubishi makes one as well. They make different versions of these, some with dump beds on them. But in my case, I bought a Honda because, you know, they've made a gazillion of these things.
The bed opens up like this into a flat bed. This will lay down like that. This one will lay down this way, and so it becomes just a flat bed. I guess if you needed that, I don't know that I would need that, but certainly makes a nice bench. So this is the box I added. I got this from Tractor Supply for, you know, a little over $100. I just bolted it down through the mat, so the mat's not going to go anywhere either. On this particular model, the engine is back here, and there's a cover. I don't know if I can lift this. This mat's pretty heavy. There's a cover there. That's where the engine is. The oil fill is on this side. There's where you fill up the engine oil. Here is the dipstick. There's the battery, coolant overflow tank, spare tire, all the standard stuff that you would have on any other car. I've got a rear light. Everything does work on it too. It's kind of neat. It's pretty well sun faded though. Passenger seat looks like it's never even been sat in. Driver's seat's pretty well worn. Probably could clean that. I haven't cleaned that seat. I bet it would clean up nice. It does have an AM radio, but that radio doesn't work because from what I'm told, the AM frequencies over in Japan are different than what they are here, so it wouldn't actually work. But no worries. I have my Bose speaker that I Bluetooth to my phone. 5-speed manual. Everything is in kilometers, so this one happens to have 57,000 kilometers on it. That works out to about 35,000 miles. It's a 25-year-old, 26-year-old truck in this case. To take this thing out into the woods is no problem. If I, happen to scratch it on some bushes or scrape it up against a tree, I'm not going to cry about it. It'll, as long as it functions and it's reliable, which so far it's been. That gate in the front of my house and the side of my house that I use for my tractor and my mower is only 6 foot wide. And this, while it is a snug fit, it does make it. And so I just have to be careful of the mirrors, but that's no big deal. It will do 60 miles an hour. That's the fastest I've had it, is 60 miles an hour. And I probably wouldn't push it much more than that, although it will do it. But it depends on if you're hauling anything, if you're going uphill or downhill. So it's not bad though. It doesn't accelerate fast, and so people behind you have to be a little patient as you go through the gears. It's geared pretty low, which makes it great for going through the woods, but not great for going down the street trying to take off from a light fast. You just can't do that. So I bought this truck through an importer, and it's a little more expensive. Well, I don't want to say it that way. You can get them cheaper if you go through the process yourself. They're not that expensive in Japan, but then you add in the costs of shipping and customs and duty fees and all the little bits and pieces that go along with that. Having to pay probably a broker over in Japan. I don't know the process in detail, but I do know that it is doable, and it is less expensive than just buying it from an importer. But by buying it from the importer, I saved a bunch of headaches and paperwork and waiting and all that. I just paid the importer for their trouble. They're the ones that put in the effort, and it all worked out pretty good. I went through Northeast Imports out of Hudson, New Hampshire, and they treated me real good. They took care of some of the maintenance stuff, some of the maintenance concerns that I had. That is the timing belt and water pump. These engines are what they call interference engines, and so if the timing belt breaks, then you risk pistons coming into contact with valves, and bad things happen inside the engine. So it's important on these engines that the timing belt get replaced regularly. It's quite simple to do actually on them. They make the maintenance process for that pretty simple, but the dealer that I bought it from took care of that for me, and of course oil change, all that kind of stuff. One of the cool things with this machine that I got was the glove box had a sleeve in it that had all kinds of paperwork in there, but it was all in Japanese. But using a translator, I was able to look at it all, and it was maintenance records. So this truck had been taken care of pretty good, as it turns out. So I'm pretty happy with that. So yeah, in any case, not the worst purchase I've ever made. I have high hopes for this thing. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It already is a lot of fun. I smile every time I drive it. It's the kind of vehicle that doesn't cost so much that if you scratch it or put a dent in it that you freak out about it. I know that's how I feel about it. So I'm going to use it. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm not going to worry about if it gets scratched. And yeah, more to come on this thing. So thanks for hanging out. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.